Call me on my cell phone. Late night when you midnight love. Call me on my cell phone. Late night when you midnight love. And I know when that alarm.
Hey guys, Darsh here. I know it's been a while since I did do my last video, and I apologize that all of my videos end up starting like this, but I do have to apologize. It's my exam season right now again. I don't know why. I have multiple exam seasons. It's very, very hectic, but regardless, I still want to keep up with my schedule as best as I can, even though I'm a little bit late. Here is my next video, and it is going to be on the LG V30. I had it a couple months ago when it came out. I had a pre-production unit, so I couldn't actually make a full review of it, but I'm back with a full unit, and I want to make sure to share it with you guys. So I guess without any further ado, let's get right into this review. So starting off with design, the LG V30 brings back the classic V20 design and then completely scraps it for a more premium build. What I mean here is there is now a full steel rails on each side and a glass front and back with super thin bezels around the display. Speaking of that display, the display is a black display, not a silver one, with a silver back instead. So personally, I really dig this design. On the back of the phone, there is a fingerprint sensor right below the dual camera setup, which I will discuss a little bit later. Now, the design is with a speaker grill on the bottom with a USB Type-C port right next to it, and may I just say that speaker grill produces some very crispy sound. I really hate that speaker on this phone, and it is just quite terrible. It does not work very well. It is just kind of tinny, and it's not too good on the bass, or I don't know. I personally believe that in this situation, LG should have implemented a dual speaker setup like most other high-end flagships around. This is a terrible setup, LG, please fix it. But it does compensate with a headphone port right on top with a quad DAC. And if you don't know what a DAC is, I recommend you guys check out my top 5 features for the LG V30 video up above. It explains it a little bit more there. But regardless, and essentially, I'm not too about the quad DAC just because I don't notice the difference, but some people do swear by it. So take their word, not mine. Alright, we're like halfway through the video right now, and I want to address the elephant in the room, and that's probably the skin on the back of this phone and the skin of all the other phones that I used. Basically, if you guys don't already know, I'm a huge supporter of Dbrand. Dbrand Skins creates cool skins that help you customize your phone like any way that you want. They have a bunch of options on their site, and I urge you guys to go check it out with the link down below. But with that being said, let's get back into the regular scheduled programming. Now, moving into performance, the phone runs really well with little to no hiccups, but the LG UI is very cluttered with some animations that do end up bogging down the phone, so it's not the best. It's pretty solid, however. I'm going to be honest with you though right now, I don't end up using the LG UX. I tend to put my own customized Nova Launcher setup whenever I'm testing out these phones because I like it better and it just tests the performance of the device anyway for what I need it to do. So if you want to check that out, check out my What's on My Phone video linked above as well. Now, in terms of performance, the battery life is pretty average. There's nothing exceptional about it, but it's definitely not worth your money on that front because it doesn't last more than, I guess, 3/4 of a day. I'll take it off the charge at 6 AM and I'll get maybe until 5 PM without having to plug it in again. The screen performance, on the other hand, is really impressive. It's a QHD Plus display made by LG, so of course it's fantastic. It's like the TVs that they make, they're amazing. I've always loved LG and Samsung screens, so it's great to see this one here, especially with LG catching up so close to Samsung and their high-end displays. But they still do have some work to do. Now, in this iteration of the LG V line, there is no more second display, which we were kind of loving because of the fact that they had a bunch of cool software features and tricks like turning on a flashlight from right there and from any point in using the phone. It was great to see. Regardless, they scrapped it and put a floating bar within the software that is just terrible and I hate using. LG, bring back the second display, please. But regardless, moving into the specifications for anyone wondering, we have a 6.0 QHD Plus display with a 3300 mAh battery that is no longer removable due to the removal of a aluminum build. Now we also have a 64 gig onboard storage set with 4 gig of RAM. Now we have an IP68 dust and water resistant certification, Bluetooth 5.0, and a Snapdragon 835, which is amazing for all of your performance needs. But now moving into what sets the LG V30 apart from the crowd, and that would have to be its camera. LG is known for their wide angle setup of camera plus their regular angles camera setup. This is ultimately why you'd probably want to pick up an LG V30 anyway because of its pretty solid camera. Now again, I'm going to point out with this phone in specific, there is no Snapchat optimization, aka meaning the Snapchat is really shit. So if you really like your social media, because not only with Snapchat, but I guess also with Instagram, it's a pretty bad experience all around just because it's kind of laggy and the camera doesn't really take nice pictures, so it's not really worth posting, and yeah, I really don't like the Snapchat experience. But the camera experience is really, really good. With the 16 megapixel back-facing camera that gets the regular angle and the 13 megapixel which does wide angle, it's a pretty cool pair. An f1.6 aperture is available for the 16 megapixel camera, and a 13 megapixel camera has the f1.9 aperture. So in low light, these cameras are fantastic. Though they do end up looking a little bit soft in my opinion, they are working really, really well. You know, with the wide angle, it does look kind of fisheye because it's really, really wide, but it's a nice feature to have nonetheless, and I think it's one of the selling features of the V30, and which is some reason why you should look into it. But the camera gets kind of weird when it comes to the other features, like Q-Lens, which basically lets you take a picture of something and then shop for it on Amazon, which is cool, but it doesn't work. I've tried it with multiple things, and for some reason it can't detect what it is, and this is the same thing with the AI camera that they implemented, which just doesn't work. The AI camera has been tried to be implemented within a bunch of different phones, and it just doesn't work out, so I'd say for most OEMs out there, just refrain for the next little bit. But in general, picture talking fashion, like there are some deep blacks, some great dynamic range, some really, really punchy colors, and I really do like the LG V30 camera. It's everything I'd expect and more from a high-end flagship. Now, the camera is great and it's everything we expected from LG, but there's some things that LG did put in that we also can kind of expect, like the really gimmicky features. So there are a couple of them that I don't really need, but there are some that I found pretty cool, like the cinematic mode this time, which essentially allows you to smoothly pan in and out of video. I thought that was a pretty cool feature. And of course, the optical stabilization is definitely much appreciated here, but I guess this comes to the end of my review and exactly what I think of the V30. It's a really, really exceptional phone. I've loved my time with it, and it's definitely a better LG G6, and if you're looking at both of these phones, pick this up over the G6 for sure. But I'm not too sure how I feel about the huge amount of gimmicks and the lack of Snapchat optimization. Most phones that people are trying to pick up now, they do need to work well with social media, and in a situation like this where it doesn't work the best with things that are really popular like Snapchat and Instagram, I don't know how I feel about it, but it is just generally a really, really cool phone, and this is just off of my experiences, and that's just my opinion. Alright everybody, that is it for this video. I do hope that you guys did enjoy it. If you did, please make sure to smash that like button, comment down any feedback that you guys do have below. I love the criticism. Make sure to share this video with your friends, subscribe to the channel. Also guys, by the way, huge shout out, we just hit 2,000 subscribers, so thank you so much for supporting me. It's been a long time coming, and I'm really happy to have passed that benchmark, but I only can hope that we can get even further by the end of the year. Ideally 10K, seems a little bit unreasonable, I know, but let's see if I can get there. I'm really, really sure we can do it. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys all so much once again for watching. I really do hope that you enjoy it, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Later.